And turns out a lot of podcasters have a similar problem and weren't happy with kind of the state of the art. So my background is software engineering and graphic design and teaching and writing books and stuff like that. So it was like, all right, like we could probably build something cool. And that's really what we've been working on for the last like over 4 years now. And really honored that we can help so many podcasters. I think some crazy numbers I can share is like over 130 countries. Like last year, we helped record over 10 years of audio. And yeah, we just been doing everything we can to really build a unique experience for podcasters and their guests to record and sound great together.
On this episode of the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast, we have Zach Moreno, co-founder of Squadcast.fm, a software that records podcasts remotely, creates engaging podcasts and videos through an intuitive platform that allows you to connect with anyone, anywhere. You're going to want to listen in on how Zach was able to launch Squadcast 100% bootstrapped while driving crazy growth. How organic was the biggest plan out of the gate to get a proof of concept, and my favorite, how having the super close yet remote model enabled them to go to the next level. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But before we begin, if you are an agency owner or media buyer, head over to funnel-.com to see how their financial tools can allow you to scale your ads and get cash back. Without further ado, here is your host, Dylan Carpenter.
All right, everybody. We're back in business with another episode of the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast. I'm your host today, Dylan Carpenter, in the house. Now, today we have a very special guest, of course, with the platform we use for the podcast, the Squadcast. And I kind of made a post about them on Twitter. One of their reps came in, replied to my comments, and I was like, what if I could get the Squadcast CEO on the podcast? And hey, here we are. Now we have Zach Moreno. He is the co-founder and CEO of Squadcast. So I could hype this up, but I'm kind of giddy over here. So Zach, what's good, man?
Thanks for having me, Dylan. This is awesome. I'm glad you reached out. We were able to put this together. It's awesome. So grateful for it.
Heck yeah, man. I'm pumped. So give everybody a little background of kind of who you are, just some context so people have an idea of what we're going to be getting into today.
Yeah, so I co-founded Squadcast with my good friend Rock about 4 years ago. We had this problem we ran into with the quality of recording remotely, and turns out a lot of podcasters have a similar problem and weren't happy with kind of the state of the art. So my background is software engineering and graphic design and teaching and writing books and stuff like that. So it was like, all right, like we could probably build something cool. And that's really what we've been working on for the last like over 4 years now. And really honored that we can help so many podcasters. I think some crazy numbers I can share is like over 130 countries. Like last year, we helped record over 10 years of audio. And yeah, we just been doing everything we can to really build a unique experience for podcasters and their guests to record and sound great together.
Oh man, how big is y'all's team now?
Yeah, I think we're up to like 7-8 people, and then if you count like everybody who we work with, it's like close to 40, something like that. It blows my mind. I'm a first-time founder, so just even to have this opportunity really is pretty magical for me.
Oh, for sure. Are they all kind of remote too, or are y'all kind of in the California area?
Yeah, we're a remote first company, and we really, we use our product to have like meetings and record our content and stuff. So we really practice the remote first, and of course, when the rest of the world kind of caught on to the remote work style, we're so happy that we didn't have to really change or evolve much at all. It's really awesome that we have a support person, Andy, in Mexico. We have Ariel in New York. We have Gene in Orlando, some of the team in Sacramento, where I'm originally from. And then my co-founder and I, Rock, we're here in Oakland in the Bay Area.
Man, heck yeah. Well, y'all got to come to Austin, put on a show. I'll get y'all a crap load of leads.
I'm down. Yeah, no, I've never visited Texas. My grandfather's actually from from Texas, and it's been on my list. We were hoping that we could make it to Podcast Movement. We were really big in sponsoring the community events. We love those, but when things shut down, that event got rescheduled and stuff. So that was something I was looking forward to. But yeah, we have a lot of friends in Austin as time goes by, so we'll definitely put that together.
Oh, and it's booming more and more, especially in the marketing industry. I feel like everybody's coming down here from LA or San Diego. It's bananas.
Yeah, it is. It is. We've had a number of founders and just people that we've are connected with here in the Bay Area move to Austin. And it's like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And I hear that the startup scene and vibe is also vibrant and growing and all of those things. So it sounds like it's a really cool place.
Hell yeah. Well, let's get to the nitty gritty stuff, man. Now, of course, we'd love to dive into the rich ads, aka what's working good for you in the Squadcast world. So what's been something that's kind of killing it for y'all kind of at this point in time?
Yeah, so we have the opportunity to work with some really talented people on the advertising and marketing side of our company, and Influencer Studio is an agency that we work with, founded by a podcaster and friend of ours, Tyler Bessu, who originally was at Thinkific, a startup that is pretty inspiring to us. And he's kind of out doing his own thing for the last couple years. And we're like, man, wouldn't that be amazing if we could like hire Tyler? And then he's like, well, you don't have to. Like, it's all good. Like, we can work together now that I'm out. And he really understands podcasting and the startup. So we trust him, fundamentally with our ad strategy and evolution with our funnels and all of those things. Like we've come a long way, as that is not my background. That's not my co-founder's background. We have skills, they complement each other, but that was a big hole in our game. So we knew that we would need to really go in that direction. So I think it's really, interesting to me around like how we really like track these metrics and say, okay, the ROI on our ad spend is actually turning into this much, like in our revenue, or all the different things there. It really blew my mind, the amount of like data on that side of thing as a software engineer, and how many like software tools there are in that stack as well. I mean, I had kind of guessed from my past work, but I had a background in like government and stuff like that, and they don't do any of that stuff. There's no funnels or like tracking ROI. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So just really putting all those pieces together, seeing how they fit together with like, we've made a lot of improvements. So we weren't perfect at this by any stretch when we first started out, but I think what's been working is really just embracing. We're very fortunate. The nature of our product has an element of kind of virality. So there's this metric, the viral cycle time, is how long it takes when somebody signs up. How long does it take for them to invite somebody else to use it, whatever the product is, use it as well? So social networks benefit from this, but Squadcast isn't a social network, let's say. But the first thing you do is invite somebody else to record with you. That's kind of the magic of Squadcast, is recording with other people. So that was really mind-blowing to me, and I'll say that the organic growth from that is something we still haven't been able to match in our ad strategy. We do both now, and we didn't do ads for the longest time because we could kind of say, hey, it's growing on its own. And we want an element of predictability with our growth. And that's really where the strategy of doing some advertising came into the strategy. But we're really grateful for that we could grow organically and with promotion, and how those fit together is just kind of beautiful to me.
Oh, and you have to have a proof of concept. With the amount of brands we talk to who think, hey, we got a product, got the packaging, let's run some ads right now. I'm like, you don't even know who your avatar is. Do you have any proof of concept? So I think y'all kind of knocked out a big piece of the puzzle out of the gate there.
Let alone product market fit, right? That's a whole like another mountain to climb, even after you have that MVP out there. So you're right about that.
When did y'all launch ads? So 4 years it took y'all to kind of get to where you're at today. How long did it take you to kind of essentially get the ads up and going?
About 2 years. Yeah, we went for about 2 years without doing any advertising really at all, other than like events and speaking and kind of that strategy, which we love, and it fits with our community. It fits with the podcast ecosystem. So that is something that saying it out loud though sounds like a long time. So it's kind of blown my mind and right now that we went for 2 years without doing any advertising. But you're totally right. That's why a lot of startups like go out and raise a bunch of money. And it's like, what are you going to spend this money on? It's like,
Ads.
developers and ads. Yeah, exactly. So we had a bit of a different strategy there, and yeah, it's different paths. So I'm glad we took this one.
Oh yeah, now the geeky marketer's coming out. So when you set your kind of KPI goals, do you look at the LTV, or are you kind of, hey, I want to make 20 cents on the dollar, on that new customer? I'm kind of curious on your thought perspective on how you kind of set those goals for success.
Yeah, we think about it like it's a long-term relationship with our customers, and we want to be of service for the as long as they're podcasting, and that's really where the LTV comes in for sure. We focus on getting people like into the product. Like we have a pretty, I'd say, fairly generous trial, and then we focus on really making sure that people can get up and running like very quickly and really experience the magic of Squadcast. That's something that a lot of people tell the story of, like Twitter, like they kind of figured that out, and we needed to get certain follow this many people to really experience the magic of Twitter. For Squadcast, it is we need to get you connected to somebody and recording very quickly, and so that you can really experience like the content that you created and the quality of it. And that's really great, because then the product really, the value proposition really speaks for itself. And our approach to pricing is a big part of this as well. So that's a deep rabbit hole. I can go down that topic, but essentially we're modeled after like a physical recording studio that you might go and record in person. And a lot of the pricing there is like per hour. It's like you rent the booth and you can go in and record. So then we're big on validation and listening to the community. So we just kind of asked, like, what would a recording hour be worth to you on Squadcast? And it's the same price per hour whether you're recording with 2 people or 4 people. So there's ways to really maximize the value there, but everybody gets the same quality. We have a really high standard for that with audio and in video. So there's a number of ways I can go deeper here, but you tell me. I'm happy.
Oh, we're going deeper, man. I'm curious. How many you're bringing it out? How many times have y'all had to kind of change prices? Or, because as the business evolves, hey, we got the I don't want to say the guinea pigs, but the first batch of customers get the feedback. It's going well. We have more, integration or whatnot these days. Let's bump the price up. I'm kind of curious how maybe y'all have changed it or maybe kept it consistent.
Yeah, and it's in line with our funding strategy as well. We are a bootstrap, self-funded company, and now these days we are customer funded. I'm proud to say that we've earned that. And yeah, we started off with kind of unlimited pricing, and it was just, I think, $20 a month to really just build those early relationships and be very transparent. Like, yeah, this is beta. If anybody gets burned, too bad. We gave like free months, like pretty generously, because we're just like, hey, this is on us. So we're very real about that and transparent, and people tend to respect that now, kind of in hindsight, looking back. And from there, we just started asking, like, okay, how would kind of a tiered pricing structure work? And as first-time founders, we also knew that we didn't know what we were doing. We knew what we didn't know. And so we really just became students of like SaaS and startup pricing, really dug in. And that's an ongoing effort. Like my co-founder, Rock, has gone from like, I don't know if he would say zero background with like product pricing, but I would say he is by far an expert now. And then also we're part of an accelerator called Tiny Seed, which is for bootstrap startups, and they're experts in pricing. I'll say, and have helped us refine this over time. So I think we're on our 4th generation of pricing now, and it takes a lot of courage to change your pricing. I'll say it's nerve-wracking.
Oh, 100%, man. Yeah, that's because
like grandfathering and doing things like that. I've recently learned that term is a bit gendered and has some baggage with it. So I apologize. I don't mean to offend. It's just kind of the term people have heard thrown around with, like, iPhones and things like that. So
Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh gosh, and I've had to have said that on probably 20 episodes.
yeah. So don't mean any offense. Apologies.
You're
But
good, man.
it's just like we have a number of customers who early days were on that unlimited plan, and they're still on the unlimited plan, and that's totally cool. We appreciate that.
Oh, and that's some customer loyalty to the end right there, man. Life or death, we're with you.
Yeah, record as much as you want. We want people to record a lot. It's pretty cool to us.
Now, I'm gonna go off topic here because it's a big day. I feel like I see you have a NASA hoodie on or sweatshirt, and I see that little Lego set. I think it's a Lego set in the background. Is that what
It
I think
is.
it is?
Yeah, it's
And
a
I think
Saturn
we
V
landed.
Lego.
Didn't we land on Mars today too, or something?
Yeah, Perseverance rover landed on Mars. I was just watching like the live stream before we're planning for a webinar in the next couple days, and then I was watching that in the background. It's like so amazing. This is kind of, I haven't had too many moments in the last couple years where I felt like super proud to be part of this country, but I think that anytime NASA takes a big step forward like that, it really hits home for me.
For sure. I'm also a Lego fan. That was like my first job I ever loved, and like, oh my god, I can talk Legos for months.
You worked at Lego?
Yeah. So I was in Houston, Texas, and I was going around the mall, and they were building the Lego store still, and I'm like, let me apply.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was at a driving range working, and I'm like, oh, I get AC. Texas heat's rough on the driving range.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of the first employees there. I worked there for like a year and a half, man. I slung Legos. Like
That's rad.
it was fun. And the deals, like 4 days out of the year, you get like 50% off. So I would buy like a bunch and resell them. So
yep.
yeah.
I've heard that they've since stopped producing these Saturn V Lego sets, and the aftermarket for them has gone way up. So
it's crazy. Yeah, there's whenever they go, I guess, out of style or stop making them. Like we have a couple Lego sets, and they were like $120, and now they're worth $400 or $500. So I mean, that's a killer investment, low key.
Yeah, thanks to my wife Becca for getting me this one. It was a lot of fun to build, and I love looking at it.
Hell yeah. Back to the podcast, y'all. Alrighty. So we'd love to kind of dive into what's working and, of course, the best part, what's not working. So we'd love to hear the nightmare stories, the horror, adding extra zeros to budgets, forgetting your website's not on or something. So what's y'all's kind of nightmare story or poor ad in this world?
Yeah, there's two that I'll share. The first one was that we made a mistake early on that we were just kind of rookies and didn't think about how it would impact in the long term. But when we first launched like our beta and our V1, the site and the app were connected. So Squadcast is a web app. And so we were just like, oh, we just have some pages that are public and the rest of it is behind the sign-in. And that really held back our marketing efforts, because making any tweaks to marketing pages or our blog or you name it, anything that was public facing required a whole product launch, a whole product rollout. And you can imagine like those things being intertwined with one another, tightly coupled, maybe you'd say in engineering, like just didn't give us the flexibility or like speed that we wanted to make improvements to the site. So that held us back for sure. And now we are split apart, where we have a marketing site. And thank you, Alex, for designing a beautiful experience and maintaining it, making it fast and all that good stuff. And then we have the app.squadcast.fm, where the whole recording studio and experience lies. So that was a big mistake that I'm grateful we were able to correct.
Shouts out, Alex.
Yes, thank you. And then the other one I'll mention is like more product focused. Like one of the innovations of Squadcast that really makes it special is we have 2 patents pending, and we have this thing called progressive upload that in the background while you're recording, we are recording and pushing that up to the cloud every couple seconds in the background, and that gets you very high quality with high reliability. If worst case scenario, like power goes out or something like that, it's already the source content is already up in the cloud, and you can get to it whenever you reconnect. So that is something I love, and wasn't actually my idea. It was our founding advisor, Harry Duran. So thank you, Harry, for that idea. Um, and it took us like 10 attempts to build the thing. Turns out it was very difficult, and there wasn't any precedence. And this is why we're able to like file for patents and stuff, is because it turned out it didn't exist and we couldn't just like go and use a library or something. Yeah, this isn't like something you can go and just like subscribe to in AWS or something like that. So we're proud of that, but it was, I'll say like on attempt 9, we thought we had it and we rolled it out, right before the largest podcast conference of the year, Podcast Movement. It was in Philadelphia that year. And I rolled out the update like before I left to Oakland International Airport to catch the flight to go out there, thinking, oh, this timing is great. We're going to like get so many people to sign up and they're going to totally like, it's going to be magical and all this stuff. And by the time I got there, I was like getting text messages from our support team and just customers, emails and all this stuff like, oh, this file's all mangled, like it's out of order and I didn't even get my file, and just kind of like the worst case scenario. Thankfully, we have backups on Squadcast. That's another feature that is, very meaningful. So we were able to make it right and recover for people and all that stuff, but I wouldn't say anybody was necessarily happy about it. And it's the only time in my engineering career that I've ever had to roll a software update back. And I'm glad that we did, though, because 2-3 weeks later we fixed what was the problem. It actually ended up being like 4 or 5 problems. So we needed to do that, and it was a very painful conference for me personally because I didn't really sleep. I was trying to fix it like in the moment, and it wasn't really until I got back home and took a step back, rolled it back, and then kind of started again that we got it on the 10th attempt. So that's been a big it's a big selling point for us that is a differentiator with our customers.
That's huge. And I was going to bring this up after we talked, but I mean, that's one of the main reasons how we all got connected. Because I mean, I ended up having an issue on mine to where I had an awesome guest and it only recorded mine, and I was kind of freaking out low key. And I'm like, how do I tell this guy?
Understandable.
He spent an hour, and I just felt bad. And when I found out about the backup recordings, I was like, dude, y'all should just have an ad. Hey, you remember that file you lost? And I was Squadcast. And I was like, I would convert so hard on that.
I appreciate that insight. Yeah, I mean, I apologize, but that what it took to get there. But yeah, that's something where I mean, it's another back to that analogy of a physical recording studio. If you go and do that, there's going to be some redundancy. Like we talked about, mentioned space, and I'm a huge space nerd and stuff. Like we didn't like land on the moon or Mars today because like we got it on the first try. Like there are redundant systems in place like to make sure you land on Mars, right? Like if we're going to spend that much money and get one shot at it, especially with human space flight, like, so that was very inspiring. So that's really where the inspiration came from to say, okay, like let's make sure even in the worst case scenario, even like everything goes wrong, the system is resilient and you will still get your episode out on time and your audience is happy and all of those things. So I'm really glad that we were able to deliver on that for you.
Oh, and you got a real life case right here. I was just like, man, I gotta wait a month and let this guy know. I was just like counting down the days, like today's the day I gotta let him know. And then I reached out and I'm like, oh, I've had it the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So there's this whole story there too, as to what went into that. But now we have video recording as well, and that had to come with video backups because that's part of who we are, and our customers count on that. So really proud of that work.
Hell yeah. Well, of course, with the name of the podcast, we love to kind of meet in the crossroads in the marketing and financial side of things. So based off your expertise, whether it's business or personal related, what are some kind of financial principles you kind of live by to help you do finance stuff?
Yeah, and I'm so grateful for my co-founder Rock. I mean, he has the finance background. He's a CPA, he's an auditor, and that was kind of his past career. So to have that partnership with him has been really, I've learned a lot. He's learned a lot about software engineering, and I've learned a lot about financial engineering and all the things that go into having a healthy business. So the bootstrapped nature of our business that I mentioned before, the self-finance, we held down day jobs for a year and a half before we quit, and went full time on Squadcast. So that is non-trivial. And I also got married at that time. I was teaching at Cal Berkeley, so I had way too much on my plate for a time there. But to kind of persevere and push through that, and make the best investment you ever could is in yourself, right? So that's really where a pretty big chunk of our paychecks were going into funding Squadcast and making sure that things were up and running. And then to kind of get to a place where we went from being self-funded to customer funded, that was a huge moment for us. And I like to tell founders, first-time founders, because there's a lot of the narrative for startup land for founders is very much like, you're not a real startup unless you go out and raise venture capital, right? I think, and there's a lot that perpetuates this narrative, but we've always respected venture capitalists, and a lot of them have been founders, and that's how we learn, is from people who've been there before. So so this isn't me being a zealot or saying don't spend other people's money or something like that. It was more so along the lines of let's challenge ourselves and let's try to self-finance, and we'll just see how far we get. And we you always have the option to go out and raise. If anything, as time passes and your product and customers and all those things, you will only get more valuable. Or you'll disprove yourself and you'll have not be in a couple $1 million of debt. That's nice.
Yeah.
So to dodge that bullet. So, I think that you always have the optionality. Even still today, 4.5 years later, we have the option to go and raise if we wanted to. We're just in a financial position where we don't need to. And I'm really, really proud of that work, because it's not the easiest path, I'll say. And, you're always forced to be creative because you're operating with as few resources or scrappy as you can be, and all of those things. So there's certain businesses that I think you have no choice, really. You probably need to go out and raise if, let's say you're, I saw a startup pitch like male contraception, and they have to go through FDA approval and, years of that before they even have a product that they can test to see has, product market fit. So for that, they have no choice, right? Their product being in the market is years away. But with software and SaaS and the cloud and all of these things being much more accessible, it used to be that startups, technology startups, had to stand up their own data center and set up a bunch of cloud infrastructure. And we're super fortunate with the timing of Squadcast that we can really use the modern tools and cloud architecture to really move quickly, but also save costs and kind of scale the business with our customers and growth. So I think bootstrapping is definitely worth a try. That's what I'm advocating for here, and you can always go out and raise venture capital.
This episode is brought to you by Funnel Dash's Ad Card, the only charge card exclusively for your digital ad spend, in partnership with MasterCard. And if you are an aggressive affiliate dealing with dozens of ad accounts, or you are in gray hat or black hat verticals such as dropshipping, CBD, or other verticals where you're dealing with ad accounts getting shut down, business managers getting shut down, or even deplatformed from platforms like Facebook and Google, then you absolutely need to check out Funnel Dash's Ad Card. We give you unlimited free virtual debit and credit cards, so you can have a dedicated card for every single ad account campaign. And you can attach any name and address in the US, so you have complete anonymity on the card and at the card level. Plus, one of my favorite features is that you don't have to pre-fund or even top off like most typical virtual card solutions today. So if this is you and you're operating these verticals, whether you're an agency or an advertiser, then check out AdCard at funneldash.com.
You had another full-time day job, for a year and a half before you really got into it. Was that pretty stressful, having to kind of deal with that life and then the after hours, the Squadcast?
Well, I'll be real with you. I was very lucky that my role in the government agency that I worked for was not challenging at all. If anything, I was like, let's do this. Let's provide this new app for our constituents, and let's do all these things. And a lot of that didn't gain traction, let's say. So that's where I was able to. It started out by I was able to write a book. I got approached by a publisher to write a technical book on modern web development, full stack. Deploying to the cloud. It was called AngularJS Deployment Essentials. It was deprecated basically on the day that it shipped. So I'm not super proud of it, but I'm proud of the work that went into it. It took me a year to write. And most of that time was like I was at work. I was so I kind of got this proof of concept of like, okay, I can do my job and like keep everything happy and running and smooth there. But I can also like research, and I can also write, and I can do some things that kind of use that time more effectively, let's say. And
100%. Yeah.
I've been waiting to actually like, I want to write a maybe it's a series of blog posts or something, or maybe a podcast where it's like how to bootstrap your startup with a government job. I hesitate here though, because, I value taxpayers and the investment into the government and all of those things. So I don't want anybody to think that I was like wasting their money. If anything, I was trying to push it and stretch their dollar and all that stuff.
Those potholes, man. What's up?
Yeah. So, I was able to achieve a lot of things for our constituents, and I was proud of that. But in the in-between time of making updates to that website and all the things that I managed there, I was able to write a book. I was able to grade the work that my students were doing while I was at Cal Berkeley. And then when we had the idea for Squadcast, it was like, I could probably do a fair amount of the engineering here on my laptop, on my network, not on any government resources. But, there was days that went by where nobody would talk to me. I was like, oh, like, that's like the engineering in the corner or whatever. And it's just like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to do my thing, drink coffee. And I was able to kind of build out the MVP, like, I'll say mostly nights and weekends, but a fair chunk of it was done kind of bootstrap time wise too, not just capital.
I think it's funny. I'm just getting an image. Oh, he's back there. He's doing some engineering stuff. He finished 3 days ago. He's good. What's he been doing?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, that's already finished. Like, it's. I would go across the street. I worked in San Francisco, and I would go, and I preferred to work in like hotel lobbies and coffee shops and stuff like that. So that's also where the remote nature of Squadcast kind of had its origins. And Rock would do the same thing in his role, but kind of less of the time, because he would have to go to like client offices and then work there, but not in his company's office. So that's really where we kind of got a taste of that freedom and how a whole company could be remote, and super inspiring. Like companies like Automatic, who make WordPress and stuff like that, are several hundred people, and they're all remote. It's pretty mind blowing.
Man, this has been exciting, dude. I've enjoyed this one thoroughly. So what's the best way we can kind of support you? The best way people can kind of get in touch with you?
Yeah, if you're into podcasting, and like, that's a really great channel for growing brands and being a professional to tell your story and reach your audience. So like, if you're into podcasting and you're not able to record those in person, we'd love to help you with that. At squadcast.fm is where you can find the platform. We have a whole bunch of free stuff too. So like, if you're just getting started with podcasting, like, you have a bunch of questions, it's a relatively new thing. So we're happy to support you there. And if you want to record with us too, that'd be rad. But we're really, in this for the long run, and really value those conversations. So you can find us on social media at Squadcast FM. Like, you reached out to us, Dylan, and we love talking to people. So that's we're really invested in the community. So I would say, if you're just starting as a podcaster, start there. Start with the podcast community. It's super open and welcoming, and we're proud to play a part in that.
Heck yeah, man. And y'all heard it. We do all of our episodes on Squadcast, so buckle up, give it a try. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast. If you're like me and listen to podcasts on the go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and richadpoorad.com/podcast. And if you absolutely love the show, go ahead and leave a review and a comment, share with a friend. If you do, Take a copy, screenshot of it, email me, Zach@funneldash.com, show me you left a review, and I'll give you a free copy of the Rich Ad Poor Ad book. To learn more about the book, go to richadpoorad.com. To leave a review, go to richadpoorad.com/review. Thanks again.